Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're exploring a chapter of the Dao De Jing that I find particularly fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. Yep. Chapter 26.
Okay.
And we'll be looking, of course, at the original text, but also bringing in the wisdom of Dao Master Chu Meng Fu.
Always a good idea.
And we'll even make some connections to Western philosophy. I think by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a new appreciation for how this ancient wisdom can be applied today.
Sounds like a plan.
In the quest for a more peaceful and happy life.
I like it. So right off the bat, chapter 26 hits us with this seemingly paradoxical idea. Heaviness is the root of lightness. Stillness is the ruler of movement.
Okay, I'm hooked already. What's going on with these seemingly contradictory pairings?
Well, let's break it down. Think of a majestic oak tree. You know how it stands so tall and sways gracefully in the wind?
Yeah, it's a beautiful image of lightness and movement.
Right. But what allows for that grace? It's the tree's deep and extensive root system. It's the heaviness of those roots that provides the stability and grounding for all that effortless movement.
Ah, I see. So this chapter is suggesting that our inner world works in a similar way.
Exactly. It's about cultivating inner qualities, a strong sense of purpose, unwavering values that provide the grounding we need to move through life with resilience and purpose.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not about physical weight, but about those inner qualities.
Exactly. And Dao Master Chu Meng Fu has this great analogy to illustrate this point. He talks about a ruler's carriage.
Okay.
He says, a heavy wagon is slow to move. Therefore, the sage in his movements does not depart from his baggage wagons.
Okay, I love that imagery. So is he saying that a leader shouldn't be impulsive? That their actions should be weighed carefully because of the impact they have?
Exactly. Master Cho is emphasizing that a ruler, or anyone in a position of power, shouldn't take themselves lightly, not in the sense of arrogance, but because their decisions have weight, affecting the lives of many.
That's a powerful reminder about the responsibility that comes with leadership.
And he even suggests that rulers shouldn't get too upset over material losses, because they have a level of abundance that those they govern might not have.
It's a call for humility and recognizing the impact of one's actions.
Absolutely.
So it's fascinating to see how this ancient text speaks to those very relevant topics of leadership and responsibility, even today. But how does this heaviness help us navigate the ups and downs of life in a personal sense?
Well, imagine trying to build a house on shifting sand. It wouldn't be very stable, would it?
No, it would definitely lack a solid foundation.
Right. And this chapter is saying that we need to cultivate that firm foundation within ourselves.
Okay, so if this heaviness is about inner strength and stability, what about stillness being the ruler of movement? That still seems like a bit of a paradox to me.
It is, and it's actually where we can draw some interesting parallels to Western philosophy. For example, the Stoics emphasize the importance of apatheia.
Apatheia. Doesn't that mean being emotionally detached or indifferent?
It might sound that way, but it's not about suppressing emotions. It's about cultivating inner peace by not letting external events control your emotions.
So it's about choosing how we react, not getting swept away by every high and low that life throws our way.
Exactly. The Stoics, like the Daoists, believed that true freedom comes from mastering our inner world. And in the context of chapter 26, that means finding that inner stillness.
That place of grounded awareness from which all meaningful action can arise.
You got it.
It reminds me of the importance of mindfulness.
Yes.
It's about finding that quiet space within yourself where you can observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. And from that place of clarity, you can choose how to respond to the world around you.
Exactly. And Master Chow really highlights how crucial this inner stillness is, especially for those in positions of power. He gives the example of a ruler who shouldn't be easily swayed by fleeting desires or anxieties.
Their decisions should stem from a place of deep understanding and calm reflection.
Yes.
So it's not about reacting impulsively, but responding thoughtfully. It's about cultivating that inner heaviness that allows you to stay grounded even amidst chaos. This is all fascinating stuff, but I'm curious. How does this all translate into peace and happiness in our modern lives? What does it look like to actually embody these teachings today?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we'll delve deeper into in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Welcome back. Before we jump into how this all applies to our lives today, let's circle back to something from the text. Remember those baggage wagons?
Oh, yeah. Those were interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think those symbolize? They're not literal wagons, right?
No, definitely not. It's more about the inner qualities, the values and principles that a wise person carries with them.
Like their moral compass. The things that guide them through life's complexities.
Exactly. Daya Master Chao emphasizes that these baggage wagons are what give the sage stability and purpose. They're not burdens, they're sources of strength.
So it's like having the right supplies for a journey. You wouldn't set off on a long trip without food and water, right?
Exactly. You need those essentials. And the sage's baggage wagons represent those inner qualities that sustain them on their journey through life.
Okay, I like that analogy. So what kind of supplies would be in these metaphorical wagons? What values would a modern-day sage prioritize?
Well, Master Chu talks about qualities like integrity, compassion, and a deep sense of responsibility towards others. He also emphasizes humility.
Recognizing that even those in positions of power are ultimately there to serve the people.
Exactly. And this is where we can connect these ancient teachings to a very relevant concept today, mindfulness.
Mindfulness, you mean like paying attention to the present moment? How does that fit in here?
It's a direct link. Mindfulness practices, things like meditation or focused breathing, are tools for cultivating that heaviness, that inner stillness that chapter 26 talks about.
So by practicing mindfulness, we're strengthening our inner roots, so to speak, creating that solid foundation.
Precisely. You're training your mind to step back from that constant stream of thoughts and emotions and find a place of inner peace.
And from that place of inner peace, we can tap into that wisdom and resilience, like the sage embodies.
Beautifully said. Which brings us back to your question from earlier. How does this all translate into peace and happiness in our modern lives?
Well, I'm starting to see how cultivating inner stillness and having a strong set of values can definitely lead to more peace of mind. It's like creating an inner sanctuary from all the chaos out there.
That's a great way to put it. And when we approach life from this place of inner peace, we're less likely to get swept away by external events or our own emotions.
So it's not that challenges or difficult emotions disappear, but we have a more stable way to deal with them.
Exactly. Chapter 26 also talks about another key ingredient for peace and happiness, detachment.
Detachment. Okay, we touched on that briefly. Can we dive a little deeper into that? What does detachment look like in real life?
Think about it this way. We often get so attached to outcomes, to things going a certain way, that we end up creating a lot of suffering for ourselves.
Oh, I know that feeling. It can be so frustrating when things don't go according to plan.
Exactly. That's because we've tied our happiness to a specific outcome, something that's often outside of our control. But chapter 26 is encouraging us to cultivate detachment.
Not from caring or putting in effort, but from clinging to how things should be.
You got it. Dao Master Chu says, "He does not rejoice in gains nor grieve over losses. He is mindful but not anxious." He's pointing out that the sage doesn't get caught up in the emotional roller coaster of life.
Wow. That suggests a level of inner peace that most of us only dream of. But is it really achievable in our modern world with all its demands and pressures?
It's a question many of us grapple with, and it's one we'll continue to explore in the final part of our deep dive. Stay tuned as we see how this ancient wisdom can help us find peace and happiness in the here and now.
All right, so we're back diving deeper into chapter 26 of the Dao De Jing. We've covered a lot of ground already, talking about heaviness, stillness, detachment. And it seems like these concepts all point towards a more peaceful and happier way of living.
Yeah.
But the big question is, how do we actually put this ancient wisdom into practice in our modern lives?
Right.
With all the craziness and the demands.
How do we bridge that gap?
Exactly.
Well, chapter 26 actually offers some practical guidance on that. Remember the image of the sage traveling with their baggage wagons?
Yeah.
It's a great metaphor for how we can carry those essential qualities: integrity, compassion, mindfulness. Keep those with us throughout our day, wherever we go.
Right, so it's not about becoming a hermit or retreating from the world.
No, not at all.
It's more about integrating these principles into everything we do.
Exactly. And Dao Master Chair really emphasizes that this doesn't require big, sweeping changes. It's more about those small, conscious choices that align with these principles.
Okay, so what might that look like in practice? What are some tangible things we can do?
Well, you could start your day with a few minutes of mindful breathing or meditation.
Just to kind of set the tone.
Yeah, exactly. Cultivate that inner stillness right from the start.
Create a little buffer between you and all the demands of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And then as you go through your day, try to bring that same awareness to your actions. Notice when you're getting caught up in comparing yourself to others, or worrying, or being attached to outcomes.
Right, so it's about hitting the pause button on that autopilot mode
Exactly.
and choosing to respond more consciously.
Yeah, exactly. Take a breath, reconnect with that inner stillness, and then decide how you want to proceed.
And this idea of detachment, it's not about becoming emotionless or indifferent.
No, not at all. It's more about creating some space between our emotions and our reactions, allowing us to respond to things with wisdom rather than just reacting impulsively.
Right, it reminds me of that stoic idea we talked about earlier, apatheia. It's about developing that inner calm that helps us ride the waves of life without getting completely swept away.
Absolutely. And what's really cool about chapter 26 is that it reminds us this inner work isn't just about personal peace of mind.
Oh, right, it affects how we interact with the world around us.
Yeah, it ripples outward. It influences our relationships and the way we act in the world. It even contributes to a more harmonious society.
So our inner peace and outer peace are kind of interconnected.
Exactly. Dai Master Chao beautifully illustrates this point. He says, "The people look to him as they look to heaven and earth as something essential to their existence."
Wow, he's really highlighting the importance of a leader who embodies these qualities.
Yeah, they become a source of stability and inspiration for others.
A reminder that true leadership isn't about power or control, but about embodying those qualities that uplift and inspire.
Absolutely. And it's not just for those in official leadership roles either. We can all cultivate these qualities within ourselves.
And in doing so, we contribute to a more peaceful and compassionate world.
Exactly.
So it's like we become living examples of these principles, showing through our actions the transformative power of stillness, detachment, and a deep connection to our values.
That's a beautiful way to put it. As we wrap up this deep dive into chapter 26, I'd love for you to reflect on how these teachings resonate with you. What are your baggage wagons?
Yeah, what are those values and principles that you hold dear? And how can you cultivate that inner stillness, that heaviness, to move through the world with more peace, more purpose, and a sense of connection to everything around you? These are great questions to consider as we finish up today. Thank you so much for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, happy diving.